So obviously everyone knows that right now the UFC is in a terrible place right now. Obviously I've already made a previous video talking about how John Jones has left the heavyweight division in a complete mess. And obviously, like we all know, the UFC has just lost its quality. This 2025 has probably been one of the worst years in the UFC history, other than before Dana White took it over, where it went through a very dark age. But now we're in a new dark age. So before Dana White took it over, it was in a dark age because it was in a period of like poverty in a sense. Like the UFC just didn't catch on and it just lost its luster. In this case, it's become taken over by corporates like the TKO group, and it's just completely lost its luster in terms of there's too many corporate entities that don't care about the fans and just want to milk us for all of our money, right? So the UFC has become what it's become. It's become to the point where boxing has taken over once again. But to be honest, there's only a couple of handful of fights right now that's actually keeping me invested in the UFC. And one of the fights is actually happening this Saturday. Obviously, you've got Charles Oliveira fighting ILLIA Topuria, which is a compelling fight. And that is one of the fights that's keeping me interested in the UFC. Another fight that's keeping me interested in the UFC is KHAMZAT Chimaev versus Dricus Du Plessis. That's another fight that's keeping me intrigued. But apart from them two fights, there's no other fight right now that I'm actually interested in. The UFC has completely lost my interest. John Jones versus Tom Aspinall would have been a great fight. I would have looked forward to that. Obviously, I'm from the UK, so seeing that fight would have been a great fight. Obviously, that would have been an awesome fight to watch. As a fan of the UFC, you got the UK versus the USA. You've got many people consider him the GOAT of the sport, the heavyweight champion against the up and rising heavyweight contender, which was Tom Aspinall. He was destroying everyone. You got the young guy versus the old guy. You got the rookie versus the veteran. He had a lot of things going for it, and it was an interesting fight. But obviously, that's now fallen through because John Jones has retired. With the increasing corporate feel of the UFC and everything that's been happening, the only thing that keeps me interested in the sport now is honestly the Charles Oliveira versus ILLIA Topuria fight, and also KHAMZAT Chimaev versus Dricus Du Plessis. They're the only two fights right now that I'm actually interested in, that I'm willing to stay up for to watch. Right now, the UFC has gone through such a terrible phase right now. It's literally falling quicker than quicksand. The UFC is literally burying itself with its own corporatism, red tape. It's just not making the fights that we want to see, and it's just not putting the fans first. And it just seems like it's getting less and less conscious of what the fans want. Dana White just looks like he doesn't care. We just desperately need new management to come in and shake things up. But the only thing that makes me interested right now in the UFC is Charles Oliveira versus ILLIA Topuria, and obviously KHAMZAT Chimaev versus Dricus Du Plessis. So both of them fights are compelling. Obviously, you got ILLIA Topuria, who's coming up in weight. He looks like an absolute monster, and his striking is incredible. But then you got Charles Oliveira, who's got probably one of the most cleanest, incredible Brazilian jiu-jitsu in the game. So you're looking at a stylistic matchup that could offset each other. Obviously, Charles Oliveira's got a huge cult fan base, and obviously ILLIA Topuria's like got a massive Spanish fan base. So you got both fighters who have got a lot of aura. Both of them, neither of them speak English, and in a weird way, that adds a bit more aura to them. The fact that they don't speak English, they seem more mysterious and compelling, and they're both about to fight each other. Um, Obviously Charles Oliveira seems like the people's champion. Everyone loves him. Everyone loves his story, how he's come back from giving up to becoming what he's become. Became a champion, and obviously when he was going through his title run, he was beating everyone. Obviously before he fought Islam Makhachev. Then you got ILLIA Topuria, who's almost like the villain. So he's the guy that's been trash talking everyone. He's the guy that's knocked out Max Holloway when Max Holloway's never been knocked out. He's the one that done the same to Volkanovski when Volkanovski was seen by many, myself included, as one of the goats of the featherweight division. Now he's going up in weight. He's a big guy in terms of his body mass, obviously not his height. And now he's about to fight Charles Oliveira, who seems massive at times. And they're both about to square off. And right now, the odds-on favourite is for ILLIA Topuria to win because he looks like he's better form. But truth be told, I wouldn't be surprised if Charles Oliveira manages to sub him. If he manages to sub him, he's just going to add more to his legend. So that's a fight that's compelling to me. Another fight that's compelling to me is KHAMZAT Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis. Obviously, KHAMZAT Chimaev's last fight against Robert Whittaker, he completely broke that guy's jaw. Robert Whittaker was really willing for that fight. He looked like he was really into it and he wanted to get in there. Um, but then he just got completely manhandled by KHAMZAT Chimaev. And then you got obviously Dricus du Plessis, who doesn't fear no one, who seems eager to fight KHAMZAT, even though most people are ducking KHAMZAT. And he seems like he might have the style to offset KHAMZAT. Even though I've got KHAMZAT as the favorite, in my opinion, I think he's going to win that fight. Because Dricus du Plessis is just so game and tough and willing to go in there, it could be a chance for him to like prove his worth as well. And if he manages to beat KHAMZAT Chimaev, who's seen as one of the biggest stars in the sport, it's going to add even more to his legend. So these two fights are the ones that I'm most compelled to watch. Everything else other than that is just not got my interest at all. So tell me what you think. Is there any other fights that you think that's compelling in the UFC right now? Them two fights are the only ones that I really care about. Everything else is just like completely fallen to the wayside for me. But tell me what you think, and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace.